Oh shit, dude! You got a whole legit, real lion there. That lion, by the way, you see that in some of the other pictures because there's apparently next to the lion a blacked out something that looks like potentially a child, and more of the images are coming forth. They're blacked out, obviously, but you can tell in many of them that it's obviously it's unspeakable horrors, dude. I mean, even I've been on it. Honestly, Jeff Stein is connected to Kids for Cash. Not exactly sure what that is, but dear Mr. Jeffrey, please let us know if you'll be able to attend the event, the special screening Kids for Cash. Well, I think that automatically tells us bad news. That's a bad news thing. I don't know what that is, but they put up a 3D model going inside of Jeff Stein's one of the New York condos or mansions, it looks like. So let's take a look at this, see what we see, if anything pops out in terms of the inside of Epstein's New York mansion. I've not yet seen this, so we'll be looking for, odd artwork, symbols. Now that's odd. It looks like a bride hanging from a rope. This reminds me too of Lady Gaga. If you remember Lady Gaga's performance at the VMAs one year, she was kind of hanging in a bridal outfit, drenched in blood from a rope. And this, I think, is it's consonant with all of the other degenerate art that the Podesta is really into, that Epstein was into. In fact, as we'll see in a moment, Epstein ordered a painting of the sacrificing of infants. So, I mean, I don't think you would be into this kind of art unless you were into these kinds of things. And lo and behold, that's exactly what they're into, right? Pizzagate is pretty much true. Beyond that, we have all of these emails that we're going to be looking at and seeing today that are some of the darkest things that you could even imagine. I didn't expect it to be that explicit. You know what I mean? I thought, okay, we're going to get financial connections, we're going to get, trafficking, but it's actually just every day it turns out to be worse and worse the more that we dig in. But we've got this, what looks like sort of a sacrificial bride apparently hanging from a rope. Again, this isn't someone who's converted the mansion through, I guess, the imagery into a 3D model. This looks like his Gunnar Maxing Goon Pod here, where his computer is. A lot of photos on the wall. Looks like Bill Gates, Marilyn Monroe. It's hard to tell who some of those people are. Let's see if we can see. Why are they going upside down? Stupid. And I think this is relevant just to see kind of what his tastes were, what he was into. And we know that there's a lot of interest in architecture and imagery and symbolism. Epstein was into that. He was very into tile and tiling of the floors. Just really odd interest for somebody like this, somebody that dark. But that's relevant too, because remember, he says in one of the emails that Pope John Paul II had gifted him some of his architectural oddities that he put into his ceiling. I think he said he was donated a ceiling in one of the mansions. I don't know if it was this New York mansion, but possibly. Oh shit, dude! You got a whole legit, real lion there. That lion, by the way, you see that in some of the other pictures because there's apparently next to the lion a blacked out something that looks like potentially a child, and more of the images are coming forth. They're blacked out, obviously, but you can tell in many of them that it's obviously it's unspeakable horrors, dude. I mean, even I've been on it. Honestly, like, I've dealt with this material since 2004 when I read the first ritual, murder book from this Catholic journalist guy. Let me show you what I'm talking about if you don't remember. Lucifer's Lodge, right? I read this in 2004. So I've been really familiar with this topic, and I would say on the subject of cults and ritual murder type stuff, I've probably read 20 books since 2004. That's a lion, dude. Actually, it's a liger. A drew you a liger. Hope you like it. I'm joking, by the way. Um, that's a Tygon. That's a jaguar. He's a jag. He's a jag. He's a jaguar. um, ever since reading Lucifer's Lodge, like I've known about this stuff, but reading this stuff this week, man, it just really everybody I know, even people who've been studying this for a long time, studying jaguars and ligons and tigers and ligers. Like it's making people kind of depressed, and it's just really difficult because the stuff that's coming out is just it's full on Cenobite Hellraiser stuff, dude. We're full on. I'm just waiting for Pinhead to show up in the CCs of the emails. Jeff Stein McCaffrey's over there like tagging Pinhead. We also need, please include Bill Gates in it. We also need to put Pinhead and some of the Cenobites into this email. Okay, here's what looks like Jeff Stein's workout room. Not a lot of weights in there, but some sort of balance beam and exercise balls. So it's an odd choice in exercise equipment there. Maybe you just didn't finish filling out this room. And then you got like a Isis Queen Quandus statue or something there. I don't know what that is. Oh, no, wait a minute. Exercise room and perhaps sex swing room. So I think that's double purpose here. Yeah, somebody was saying this actually feels like a Resident Evil. Yeah, I feel like Resident Evil. I'm waiting for the Resident Evil merchant to pop up in the middle of Jeff Stein McCaffrey's pad here. Howdy, stranger, got some wares? It's like, how does this merchant get to sell the wares right in the middle of the Illuminati castle? It's like he just pops up. It's like, do you have a permit from the Illuminati to sell your wares inside their castles? Like, is Jeff Stein McCaffrey just going to let? Maybe if he gets a cut. I don't know. I'm going to take a little peek inside Jeff Stein's fashion closet, official fashion closet, which is interesting because Jeff Stein didn't seem to be very into fashion. He's got quite a bit of coats going on here. But Jeff Stein's always in the same 3/4 zip and mom jeans. It's like he had one outfit of 3/4 zip and mom jeans and a veritable Plato's closet full of coats that you never see him in. Of course, the infamous Bill Clinton decked out in babe gear and that sexy blue dress with the red shoes. Seen that one? Jeff Stein McCaffrey's dinner table. He's got some nice Momcore leopard print chairs. Remember back in 2003, a lot of soccer moms, a lot of wine moms were all about some leopard print pants and coats. So that they must have got that from Jeff Stein McCaffrey. Another Gooner office room here, perhaps or is this perhaps a surveillance room? If Jeff was hosting any parties or coitus gatherings, shall we say, it would make sense that you would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 level layer security apparatus set up, and perhaps also cameras in every room. And I think people have said that, I want to say in Whitney Webb's book, she mentions that there were cameras in every room, I think. Guys, by the way, if you want to support the stream, you can do so through Super Chats. Super Chats are done through Streamlabs. Welcome, everybody. We are investigating the most recent horrendous information. There's the link right there. If you want to support the stream. Yeah, that looks like the CCTV and or blackmail room would be my guess. And look and see if you see any surveillance cameras. Haven't noticed any yet, but okay. And here's some interesting artwork, quote unquote. Here we have a young nude being with a nude woman and another nude sort of Egyptian looking dude. So this it looks like doves of peace. Can't really make out exactly what's going on here, but it's definitely an Egyptian influenced artwork. And obviously what appears to be a kind of um, youth style artwork, shall we say. So that's not surprising. We have a ballerina's leg coming out of the wall in the potty over the toilet, over the bathtub. More looks like more nude, underaged type things. It's blacked out, obviously. Predator and prey. So I think one thing that comes up that you actually see in a lot of, say, serial killer artwork and the things that are, and I'm being serious, like when you look into the artwork of serial killers and what art they had and what they found interesting, it's always like predator prey stuff. So kind of like Hannibal, right? If you've watched the series Hannibal seasons 1, 2, and 3, or the original Hannibal, not Red Dragon, but the one from the 80s, the theme of that, again, based on composites of like actual serial killers, is this whole idea that the serial killer is the apex predator. That's how he sees himself in his own mind, right? And I think we could count now Jeff Simon McGeffrey as a serial killer, right? He seems to be one of the most prolific, perhaps now up there with, Jeffrey Badonkadonk, um, who, let's see. Remember, we did a series of serial killer podcasts, and I reposted this video to call attention to the fact that the Jeff Simon McGeffrey case also then lends credence to Dave McGowan's thesis about Programmed to Kill and the possibility of high-profile serial killers tying into these elite international networks. Well, now we have one of the most prominent examples of that with Jeff Simon McGeffrey, especially given the orders of hundreds of gallons of sulfuric acid, presumably to dissolve bodies. We'll look at that. That came out in a moment. Well, guess what? Now Jeff Simon McGeffrey's up there, perhaps above Jeffrey Badonkadonk. Gary Heidnik, another one of the Cannibal SKs, I believe he was. And so let's not forget the Dave McGowan thesis about the serial killers, which we have investigated quite a bit over the years, with the possibility that the serial killers tie into the same types of international criminal syndicates and networks, and that sometimes, for example, organized crime can contract out to guilds. If you're familiar with Murder Inc., which was largely a Jewish Murder Inc. Incorporated crime syndicate. The original members of Murder Inc. were all from the Jewish mafia. That's on record. So that's 100% history. And let's not forget that Podesta had the same artwork that Dahmer was into. It's the way Dahmer would bend the victims. The Podesta had that exact same piece of art in their house based on the art of Jeffrey Dahmer. And again, it's weird because I wasn't planning to watch Hannibal. We've kind of been watching Hannibal off and on as this stuff has been leaking out. And I'm like, dude, Jeff Simon McGeffrey is like Hannibal, dude. It's straight up Hannibal stuff. It's full on Red Dragon. And what is the name of the original 80s one? The one before Silence of the Lambs? I always forget the name of this movie. Somebody in the chat can remind me. If you've never seen this movie, you should watch it because you're going to notice a lot of parallels It's not Red Dragon. Manhunter, excuse me. Thank you. So Manhunter is the original version. And this one is good because before you have Anthony Hopkins playing the character, you've got this weirdo dude who actually kind of believes he's being possessed by the spirit of predatory animals, right? That's kind of what's going on with that's in the background of it. And there's a lot of Mars symbolism. So he links himself to the like a tiger. He links himself to apex predators, lions. He links himself to Mars. So there's a lot of interesting Mars symbolism in Manhunter. And that could suggest why these people have such a fascination with predator prey. And also, I mean, this can signify again like outright eating of human meat. You know, you get what I'm saying here. Guys, if you would hit like and share. Also support the stream through super chats done through Streamlabs right there for your again, this is hard to deal with, I know, but it's all out there, and it's all we got to deal with reality if we're ever going to combat and you know, stop this kind of just insanity going on. But he seemed to very much be into this predator prey stuff. Now this is interesting because the severed body stuff this is not the only time artwork we're speaking of here. I'm not talking about actual, this is artwork. This calls to mind the famous Black Dahlia case and the art of Man Ray. And if you know about the Black Dahlia case and Elizabeth Smart, and we've covered that. We did a whole podcast on that. And by the way, Esoteric Hollywood Archive also just recently put up, I can't type today. They put up the analysis that we did of Black Dahlia. My allergies are really bad today. I apologize. I've already taken medicine. So now Black Dahlia case is one of Hollywood's first ritual murder cases. And the original people implicated in this, they weren't convicted, but most people believe that it was George Hodel that was kind of the mastermind behind it. But it also, excuse me, Elizabeth Short. I didn't mean to say Elizabeth Smart. Elizabeth Smart's the actress. Elizabeth Short, excuse me. And so you have implicated in this people like Edward G. Robinson, the famous actor. An original suspect was also Orson Welles, the famous director. And John Huston was implicated. A lot of people were suspect in this situation, including the famous surrealist artist Man Ray. And one of the reasons that people really honed in on Man Ray was because he would do surrealist art, particularly the severed sort of bodies style, one of which ended up looking like a bull, but it was a woman's body in the shape of a bull. This one. So this one was used because this one was pinpointed because they thought that Man Ray might have had a role in it because Elizabeth Smart herself was sort of formed into that shape, so to speak, when she was dismembered. And I've got several books on, you know, true crime stuff on the history of the Black Dahlia case. And again, we don't know all the details, but we definitely know that there's some sort of a ritual background cult. And Man Ray seemed to speak as if he was a Luciferian. He believed in this sort of dark side of stuff, giving you power, the artwork empowering you and so forth. The Minotaur, thank you. Even though it's artwork, I'm probably not gonna show that because it might flag, you know, stuff over here. But you can see that Jeff Stein McEffery has the exact same taste as the Podestas, exact same taste as Man Ray. And I'm not implicating all surrealist stuff. I like some Salvador Dali type stuff. But even still, there's a lot of weird sus stuff going on with this. And I'm not trying to be overly, like, you can't take artwork and read too much into it. But it does give an indication into proclivities and what these people are actually into. So here's desk photos, but we can't really make out what it is. Looks like a passport there. And of course, Whitney Webb pointed out that Epstein had multiple passports, including Saudi passports, which of course shows that, yes, he was working with intelligence at various levels, including Israeli, including probably Western intelligence as a whole, perhaps. Another bathroom with a artwork of thick. We got some THICC artwork. Here's more all blacked out. This also is reminiscent of Man Ray, Surrealist Black Dahlia type art here. So we're going to skip some of that. The bedroom looks like it's got a lot of droughts and potions there. He's got a lot of tinctures up there. Perhaps he was a bit of an alchemist. The wine mom leopard print dinner setting has a gong. So I guess Jeff Stein McGeffrey would ring the gong. Ring the gong to bring out the dongs. Dinner is served. More surrealist style art. Here's a weird piece of art. It looks like Alice in Wonderland getting it on with a devil. No, this is claymation, but Alice in Wonderland getting it on with a devil and with some other thing, some sort of claymation devil art here. It's hard to know exactly what's going on, but it looks like that's what's going on. So that is not surprising. I think that's exactly the artwork we would expect Jeff Stein McGeffrey to have. Now,